Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off this morning. I'm sleepy and crushed this morning. Sleepy because I stayed up to watch the TiVo version of the Fiesta Bowl and then had to deal with the end of that at whatever time it was. But frankly, I had to stay up to prep anyway with a game tonight. So very strange to have another one tonight. Uh, Good win last night by the Jazz. Let's just touch on a bunch of those tip-off issues, more so than anything else. I haven't talked to you about Utah or BYU, so probably worth taking one moment and doing that. The quick thought I just have on both those teams is the same thing. That they just staying in games, the culture of believing you're going to win. Both those coaches fight through it. Both of them had, all sorts of reasons why things went wrong. John Hayes was terrible, and yet that coaching staff was bright enough to, really give him the easiest throw there is, which is the streak, and he hit it, and he deserves great credit for that. And Riley's got all sorts of weaknesses as a quarterback, but as obviously as a leader and a guy who, fights through it and stays in it and gets his guys rallied and makes them believe and all of those quote intangible things um, is terrific. The defense on both sides made plays. Both coaches are defensive coaches. Those kind of defenses keep you in games and give you more shots. It's really what they do. They give you more shots. It's interesting to me though when you just think about that. I've been struck the last week the willingness the Eagles talking about bringing back Deshaun Jackson. DeMarcus Cousins causes problems in Sacramento, and everybody's go get him, or like problem guys are problem guys. I don't care how much talent they have. Part of talent is being coachable, being a good teammate, being a leader, doing the right things. And you're not that talented if you're disruptive and if you're causing problems. Uh, I mean, I get why everyone's allured by it and everything, but it's stunning to me the complete inability of most teams, fans, any circumstance, to be able to stay strong to your principles and not get caught up in that. Stunning. Uh, by the way, I watched Sacramento the other night. Kind of rambling here, but we're sleepy. I watched Sacramento the other night. Those guys do not believe in teamwork or passing. Marcus Thornton was on a mission to try to stick it to New Orleans, where he once was, where he was traded from, and was as selfish as they got. And that's going to be a bad combination for Jimmer. Uh, that these guys, he needs some people to play off him. But frankly, Jimmer right now, and it's early. There's a lot of things he's struggling, and he looked like he was in a bit of trouble in the game that I saw. I'll watch more before I make conclusive comments to it. But kind of all of the things you were concerned about in regards to his transition from uh, the collegiate game to the pro game are coming to fruition. That's not stunning. It's the first week of a career, and I think that that's probably the reality. But he's not off the high pick and roll. He's not able to turn the corner offensively right now. He can't get to the rim, so he's got to learn a mid-game floater, which he doesn't have yet. His shooting pockets are, in fact, closing a little quicker, and you can see that the shot's not as smooth as it once was for him. And defensively, everything you were concerned about was came to fruition in that game. He really had a tough time. One night, amidst of this crazy hectic schedule, he's playing more than most rookies. Let's not panic, but there's reason. There's reason for concern. I think if anybody knows the game of basketball well and is watching and is a true basketball fan and watching those games right now, without the emotion of rooting for the guy, which everyone's rooting for him, but I think you can see that. All right, let's go to the Jazz last night. That's how this team's going to have to win games. 9 guys played 19 or more minutes. Everybody had their portion of where they did things. Different times of the game, different guys altered it. Tyrone Corbin pulled every string imaginable, and most of them worked. Ty's had some really good nights recently, actually. It's nice to watch. He's coming into his own a little bit. The whole Devin Harris move the other night was, when he brought in Earl, and then the way he used Earl and Devin last night, where he really ran Earl for quite a long time. And Earl knocked Jared Jack, or Jared Jack fatigued on the back end of back-to-back combination, uh, out of the game. And, he was dominating the game, splitting pick and rolls and a bunch of things of that sort. And uh, the Jazz kind of eliminated Jared Jack from being able to make those plays. The use of Alec Burks in the second quarter, who continues every time to be on the floor, make an impact. He's still got things to do and ways to go, but I'm really high on this kid. Let's wait. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. He's got to learn how to play with teammates. His head is down every time he goes. He passed in college some, so it's not as though he was a zero assist guy, but his rebounding is going to be he's going to be a wonderful rebounder, and he hit a straightaway three that looked really comfortable last night. And if he can hit that shot with comfort and hit it at 35%, that's all, 35%. Doesn't have to be a 40% three-point shooter. But if Alec Burks hits that shot 35%, he will score 20 points a night in this. Now, we got to figure out if he's playing with teammates and doing some other things, but this guy, he will be the perfect complement to Gordon Hayward, who is just not asserting himself on games and is going to play with his teammates and do things like that. There's a chance this is a really neat combination. Cantor continues to stunningly hold his own and play well and play a solid fourth, third big in the league and rebound and impact the game and making mistakes. And we'll see if he's getting caught too far into the glass a bunch of times. We'll see how he continues in that regard. And then in the way Ty used CJ last night was very interesting, that he didn't frankly use him. And then when he went to him and kept him out there for 22 minutes, I still don't love the fact that CJ took 13 shots in 20 minutes and that he only got 12 points out of him and a bunch of things like that. But maybe we shouldn't expect him to change that much. The Jazz are going to do every little thing to win games. And one of the things they did last night that was terrific was the defensive rebounding. New Orleans came in the game getting 36% of defensive rebounds. And the way you look at that is you just take your offensive rebounds and their defensive rebounds and then add them together and then divide whichever one of the two into it. And you either come up with their offensive rebounding number or their defensive rebounding number. Last night they had 7 offensive rebounds. Jazz had 27 defensive rebounds at 7 into 34. That's a 77% defensive rebounding rate last night by the Jazz. The league average is 72, but New Orleans came in at 36. Which is really just it's very impressive right now what the Jazz are doing on the defensive glass, and they're about 70 coming into last night. I think they were about 77.6, and if the numbers on Hoop Data are updated, the Jazz are at 78% defensive rebounding. It's the 5th best in the NBA. Minnesota, Denver, Portland, and Charlotte are better. And that's the first step you're going to make to being a better defensive team is to close out a possession. And this was an area where this team really was not very good last year. So very excited to see that just continuing night in and night out. The last 4 nights, the Jazz have been at 83%, 86%, and then last night I have them at 81% actually. So just those are the things that are going to make you beginning at getting things done to make you a better basketball team. Defensively, last night was the best night of the year by the Jazz. Probably the worst offensive team they've played, but was one of the best. They still, though, are not. Even last night, they didn't get their defensive rating down to below league average. So there's still a long way to go there. The league average right now is 100 points per possession, per 100 possessions. So basically 1 point per possession. The Jazz have not held an opponent under that yet. Last night was a slower game. The Jazz were better defensively in that but they are just a dramatically better defensive team at home right now than they are on the road. Shooting last night was better but not great, but they made some shots, and those are the things that are going to take it. Josh Howard played a good game when it mattered. He does definitely add something to this team. It's interesting to look at Alec Burks. I think those two players are maybe similar. I think there's a chance that that's the player who Alec Burks emulates through much of his career. Very good rebounder for a wing, not a great three-point shooter, gets to the free throw line a good deal. Howard has not been as efficient as I would hope Alec Burks to be for his career. Using that many possessions, you need to be a little bit more above average in the use of possessions than Howard has been in his career. I got to go get the kids, get them ready for school, do all that kind of stuff. I'll be at shoot around. Most of my notes are done tonight. Milwaukee will be interesting. I'm not sure I'm quite figured out what Milwaukee does and does well yet to give you any analysis on that one. They've seemingly picked up their tempo a great deal. It's helped Brandon Jennings until the last night. They've picked up their tempo and maybe tired tonight because they played in Denver. So that may line up well for the Jazz. These are nice little games for the Jazz to kind of get back on. And this team just needs positive moments to continue growth. And there were a bunch of moments last night where they worked better together. Derek Favors is doing nice things from the left block, but anytime he catches on the right block, you have a stark reminder of how far away he truly is. And I think we're seeing Gordon kind of ebb and flow. And these kids are 20, 21 years old. And that's probably the reality of what we are going to deal with. And that's where the model that the Jazz have, which is to have these veterans around these young guys, as much as everyone's calling for young guys to play, there's some real reasons for this. And I'd like it if a few more people would step back and kind of try to understand it. And I think you can see what those are. Positive reinforcement and wins further development. Okay, see you guys.